Is the Mana the perfect beginner mid-range, or is it just a pretty face? The disc is in the details. Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs. Today's video is sponsored by Tri Discs. More about them in just a moment. First though, let's explore the ThoughtSpace Athletics Mana. To answer our original question, is it the perfect beginner mid-range? The Mana is an understable mid-range released from ThoughtSpace Athletics in late 2022. Approved by the PDGA several months earlier in March of 2022, the Mana is an understable complement to the trusty, straight Pathfinder, previously ThoughtSpace's only mid-range disc. ThoughtSpace Athletics' origins, though, date back 10 years prior to the Mana. Back in 2012, started as a, quote, thought-provoking apparel company with an emphasis on bringing rich creative concepts to life. After visiting the 2012 World Championships, also a key part of the Jomez Pro origin story, founder Aaron Wilmot sought to bring high-end design and apparel to the world of disc golf. In 2018, ThoughtSpace Athletics looked to expand their horizons to offer their artistic abilities to the masses by bringing on friend and graphic artist Tony Gravestone as a partner. Together they collaborated with Innova, Discmania, MVP, Infinite, the USDGC, Worlds, the European Open, Garrett Gurthey, Nate Perkins, Drew Gibson, Zoe Andyke, and more. ThoughtSpace Athletics' next natural step was to move from artwork and apparel into manufacturing. They're rumored to have signed a non-disclosure agreement with their manufacturer, but many people believe their discs are manufactured by MVP Disc Sports. The unique trademarks found on many MVP discs, such as these small horizontal flat areas along the outer rim of the disc, likely where the plastic is injected or trimmed from the mold, are also found on ThoughtSpace Athletics discs, as well as Mint discs. With the recent release of the Coalesce, TSA now have 13 discs in total. All but 2 of them have these same manufacturing marks. The 2 that don't are the Alter and Temple. The Alter and Temple also don't feel like any type of MVP plastic, nor do they have any of the typical manufacturing marks that MVP discs have. They feel somewhat similar to Gateway plastics, but again, ThoughtSpace has not confirmed who manufactures these discs for them or whether they do it in-house. Their roots as graphic artists can be found on every single disc. ThoughtSpace doesn't have a single boring stock stamp in their lineup. Instead, every single run has a different stamp, and every plastic gets its own unique twist. Now, let's get back to the Mana itself. The Mana is a shallow, low-profile, 5-speed mid-range. Compared to most 5-speed mid-ranges, the Mana has a smaller, more aerodynamic rim. In fact, Infinite Discs is actually listing the Mana as a 6-speed, though according to ThoughtSpace's website, it is indeed a 5-speed mid-range. So far, the Mana has been released in a special Tour Series run for Zoe Andyke in Nebula Aura Plastic. Aura Plastic is comparable to Neutron from MVP, a solid color opaque plastic, while Nebula refers to the swirl in the plastic, making Nebula Aura comparable to Cosmic Neutron. That is, of course, assuming that they are manufactured by MVP. The newest release of the Mana came out on May 10th and is available in ThoughtSpace's Glow Plastic. The Mana will also likely be available in their other plastics in the future, including Ethos, a translucent blend similar to MVP's Proton Plastic, and Ethereal, which is similar to Plasma Plastic, or Nebula Ethereal, an extra swirly version of Ethereal. Now, as we've established in our other series, flight numbers don't always matter. So how does the Mana fly regardless of its 5.5, -2.1 flight numbers? We've been listening to your comments and asking lots of questions about how and where we're throwing these discs. So I want to let you know we're throwing it in central Ohio at around 900 feet of elevation. We'll have both Caleb and myself throwing the disc today. Caleb is 921 rated, and I'm 900 rated, although that rating is not at all accurate. That was before my elbow injury, and my arm speed is way down, and that's only from one tournament that I've played in the last 2 years. So I think it's fair to say I'm more of a novice or recreational player these days, especially on backhand throws. So based on the flight numbers, we did expect the mana to be understable, but it's fair to say that it completely exceeded our expectations. Caleb's first throw came out with just a little bit of hyzer, and it immediately turned over, burned out, and rolled. On his second throw, I suggested we add a little bit more hyzer, and we definitely got more of a flight. But it wasn't until his third throw that we added a lot more hyzer and a little less power, and bam, easy distance. We're clocking this throw around 300 to 320 feet. Here Caleb's doing a slower run up, not too much power, and just a little bit of hyzer, and it easily flips to flat, holds, and then fades as much straight as it does left. Now with the elbow pain that I've been having for the last 6 or 8 months, that's brought my backhand power and form way down. So on my very low power backhand at the moment, all I could do was get a straight to stable flight, though this hole is quite uphill, so I probably threw it a bit too nose up. I've been focusing more on my forehand, and I have to say the mana feels great for a forehand grip. I have to say, if you have any amount of touch or finesse on your forehand, you are gonna love the mana for woods shots or hyzer flips. Here we're throwing with just a little bit of hyzer, low power, and it perfectly flips up and rides right over the basket. I did try to trace that shot there, but with the zooming, it was almost impossible, so hopefully you're able to see that okay. Now, when you really power up on the mana, it can't handle it at all. But if you have smooth, controlled power or a nice, clean release, you should be able to get easy distance from the mana. In fact, here is an example of what you can do with a medium power hyzer flip on a nice 482-foot downhill shot. And that right there is what you call pin high. As always, the way the mana flies for you will vary on a lot more than just how you throw. In our videos, we like to compare discs to other discs on the market to get a point of reference to understand how they fly. And one tool we love to use to do that is TriDiscs, the sponsor of this video. TriDiscs has several tools to help you find your next disc. Their advanced disc search can use up to 15 different search criteria to help you find exactly the disc you're looking for. Once you know what disc you want to buy, you can use their ISO, or In Search Of Disc Finder, which searches over 210 online retailers, including 6-sided discs, for the disc you need, so you're less likely to find them out of stock. Today, I'm using another great tool they have, the recommendation engine, that suggests similar discs based on both flight numbers and the dimensions of the disc you search. With a quick search on my phone, I found that the Discmania origin is somewhat similar to the ThoughtSpace Mana. Caleb throws a lot of Discmania, so he already has an origin in his bag that we can use to compare. And taking a look at the flight between the origin and the mana on just a slight hyzer, we see a pretty similar hyzer flip turnover shot. TriDiscs has tons of other great search tools, so make sure you check out tridiscs.com or the link in our video description. Thanks again to TriDiscs for sponsoring today's video. So back to our original question then. Is the mana the perfect beginner mid-range? For some players, I think it will be. But for others, I have no doubt that some people are going to find the mana a little too shallow for their grip. If you prefer a deeper disc, the mana is not for you. But if you're forehand dominant and you can touch and finesse the mana just right, it might be the perfect disc for you. You can find the Thought Space Athletics Mana on our website while supplies last at sixsideddiscs.com or at the link in the description below. Comment below what disc we should do next. Remember, the disc is in the details. If you like this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, or supporting us on Patreon. Tiers start at just $3 a month with discounts to our site available at each level. For Six Sided Discs, I'm Greg. We'll see you in the next one.